All right. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. I am your host, Mike Lafferty. Here is our contractually obligated intro music.
Always feels like I should be wearing goggles or something during that. That's awesome.
It's we have to play that. There was a legal issue and we're required to. It's a long story, but thanks for tuning in to the BAMF podcast. We are your finest source for high quality, professional, ethically sourced, farm to table, no red dye number 5 whatsoever, and these geeky conversations for your podcast listening pleasure. Today I have frequent co-host Mr. Ross Watson. Ross, how are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you. And we have a special guest, also from North Central Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chaz Kemp, who is the artist and writer of Shadowcat magazine, which, in case I forget to say it, I'm going to say it now, right up top. Shadowcatmagazine.com. Go check it out. There's a free issue you can download. It's cool stuff. Chaz, thank you so much for coming to the show, sir. Tell us about Shadowcat magazine.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here. You guys are incredibly cool for giving me a little bit of airtime. Shadowcat magazine is basically a system-neutral TTRPG GM's guide. All the art inside is drawn by me. I've been a professional artist, especially in the TTRPG space and the indie literary space for about 25 years. About 15 years. I've been a professional artist for about 25 years. And so each issue features 3 monsters, 3 NPCs, 3 really cool areas for your players to explore, and 3 magical items. As again, all drawn by me, and each entry has a D20 chart that you can roll on at random if you want to, or you could just pick some stuff that's just really, really cool. But again, it's all system neutral, so it works no matter what your system is.
That is a really cool idea, because I know that can be a problem sometimes. Is that, well, hey, this is for 5e, but I play Savage Worlds, for instance.
Exactly. Yeah, there's over 1,500 different systems out there, and 5th edition is just one of them. It'll work if you play 5th edition, of course, too. But I wanted to also give something to all the people that don't exclusively just play Dungeons and Dragons. So I know the group that Ross and I are in, we play some 5th edition, but we also play some Savage Worlds. We played Warhammer Fantasy, just all over the place. So not to mention all the people that play their own homebrew stuff where there's no third-party support until now.
That's right. For full disclosure, I should say that Chaz and I have been friends for almost 10 years now. We're in the same gaming group. And I should say, Chaz is kind of a renaissance man. He's a musician, an artist, a graphic designer, a writer, a hell of a player, and a great GM as well. So definitely, if you guys are out there looking for gaming content, Chaz is a really good source for it.
Thank you.
So, kind of flipping through the magazine here on the right. I think this guy here, a lot of teeth, a lot of claws. This is the Widowmaker Mark III.
Yeah.
Tell us about this guy.
Well, basically, he was the first drawing that I did kind of for myself, in the sense that Cyberpunk doesn't really seem to have much in the way of monsters. They have, evil people and, evil corporations and stuff, but not as much in the way of monsters. So I wanted to kind of do something kind of cool, because I myself am running sort of an ultra modern game, and I wanted to have something in there that seemed like it was of that time period. So I created this, and there's a D20 chart in there for all kinds of really, really cool stuff, like the fact that it could theoretically walk on the ceiling, or it shoots lasers out of the various eyes, and it has an area of effect attack maybe, and kind of thing like that. So it's really up to the GM to decide what all it does, and I think it's kind of cool. So
Well, number 8 is kind of terrifying. Its stinger can rewrite the code of living beings. So become drones for the Widowmaker for a time. That's terrifying.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrifying.
Oh, thank you. I wrote it myself. Well, the cool thing about that is that if that inspires an idea for you for your game, then that could be really cool. Like, maybe the players run across a whole office building filled with, office drones that are actually drones whose DNA has been rewritten by the Widowmaker. So now you got to deal with that. And now you have to save these people without hurting them, but yet they're still going to attack you and that kind of thing. I mean, it could be really fun. So I don't know. I love that kind of stuff personally. So
that is pretty cool. Let's page through the rest of this one. And this is just beautiful art. I don't know how to describe your style. It kind of reminds me of Art Deco.
It's actually more Art Nouveau, not to go, actually. Art Nouveau is a style that I've loved pretty much all my life. And so when I became a freelance illustrator, my thought was, well, I'm going to be an Art Nouveau illustrator. So that's really where my focus is. And there weren't very many artists out there doing an Art Nouveau style. So I thought this would be a really great way for me to stand out from the crowd. And I love Art Nouveau, and I love kind of taking it and making it my own kind of thing. So you should see my library of all the Art Nouveau books I have. Oh my God, I have a problem. Yeah.
And all right, so this cool arched arena is the arena of Dalyabar.
Yeah.
Hidden within the heart of an archaic city, beneath a canopy of mournful clouds, lies the arena of Dalyabar. Its weathered stone walls, draped in dust and former glories, bear witness. The century is a blood-soaked spectacle. As night descends, one can almost hear the whispered tales of gladiators who willingly gave up their lives for a small bit of coin and fleeting fame. I like your prose, sir. And this, once again, we have a D20 rumors.
Yeah.
I think Chaz, you're doing a writer's symposium soon, aren't you? Actually,
I am. I'm one of the guests for Superstars of Writing, which is basically a big, huge seminar where people come from all over the country, pretty much all over the world in some cases. And it's going to be in Colorado Springs in February. I think there may still be tickets left and still may have rooms available. But it's a big 4-day symposium. I mean, Jim Butcher's going to be there. Kevin Anderson actually owns and runs it. So, and he does a lot of sci-fi. He does some stuff with Dune. He did some stuff for Rush, the rock band with the greatest drummer of all time. And so there's lots. Huh?
No, just nothing.
Oh,
I said Ringo Starr. I was trying to be a jerk. Forgive me.
Oh, no worries. But yeah, so it's a really cool thing. And this year they invited me to be one of the guest speakers. So I'm going to basically run a panel about cover art and essentially the care and feeding of your cover artist. So, this could be really fun. Nice. And I'm also going to be on a couple of other panels as well. So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity. I'm really honored that they invited me. And it's really neat. So my wife, Carolyn Kay, she's an author as well. She just had a book that came out in October called Gunpowder Geishas. It's about 5 badass women in mech suits in a cyberpunk world. And it's in the 4 Horsemen universe, which they have about 75, 80 books already in that universe. And it's a really, really cool book. So, yeah. So I learned all the things about writing kind of from her.
Yeah, I just wanted to point it out because we were praising your prose for Shadowcat.
Well, thank you.
Clearly, you're doing a lot of the writing here on Shadowcat. Like these definitely are Chaz Kemp entries.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do all the writing right now. That could change later on as other issues go, because I know so many people that write. I mean, like Ross writes, for example. My wife, obviously. I know lots and lots of people. So I may rope them in to write various things for the magazine as well. But that's kind of a little bit later on down the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if people want to contact you for submitting things for the magazine, what's the best way to do that?
You can do it through my Gmail. It's basically chazkemp2010 @gmail.com. So yeah, you can email me, or you can get a hold of me through Shadowcat Magazine, the website, or through my portfolio site, which is chazkemp.com, and there's a contact form there. So either way, or you can find me on Facebook or on a street corner somewhere, not doing drugs. I don't know, whatever.
Smoke signals, homing
Yeah.
pigeons.
Yeah. Well, now that I don't have dreads anymore, I don't have people coming up to me approaching me about drugs anymore. So.
Well,
it's weird how your experience can change when your hairstyle changes, isn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
So Chaz's art style is very cool, very distinctive, and Shadowcat is featuring one thing I think is really neat about it is it not only features the writing and the graphic design, but it also features the artwork. And you're doing art for basically every article that comes in. How do you balance the writing of the article and the layout and all that with the creation of the art for the article?
Well, the art comes first for me. It always has. But then I try to put a lot of stuff into the art, especially into the background. And then, when I'm finished with the piece, I'll look at it. I'll have it up as my desktop on my computer, so I can look at it for a couple of days. And then when I get ready to write, then I start to look at it, and I look at, say, for instance, like what she's wearing or what's in the background, or that kind of thing. What kind of person is she? What kind of dancer is she? So, in that regard, then I start to think, is she a good person to know, or is she a bad person to know? Because she's an NPC, Raina is. So I start to think, well, what could be really interesting about knowing someone that's a dancer? Does she have magical powers? That kind of thing. Has she started any wars? So it's I try to put myself into the lens of the character or the item or whatever it is, and I try to think of just stuff that's kind of cool, stuff that's kind of maybe different, because again, my whole deal with this is to give people lots and lots of ideas, and make it so that you could take it and you can make it fit into your world with whatever plots you guys have going on, whatever story you want to tell, and hopefully the magazine itself will kind of help with that. So I try to draw inspiration from the art so that along with the art and the writing can inspire other people to do things. So
do you have a schedule that you're going to be making this magazine available? Is like a monthly, bi-monthly?
I'm going to try to do bi-monthly. I think I can hit that pretty easily. But as soon as I say, well, I'm going to try to do this every month, then stuff is going to happen at some point where it's not going to come out every month. So I don't want to jinx myself.
Well, right now it's every other month, basically.
Yeah. I'm going to try to make it bi-monthly. The new one just came out maybe about 4 or 5 days ago, issue number 1. And so I feel pretty confident I can have another issue by March. No problem.
Now, right now, these are pay what you want, right?
No, they're $14.75.
Is there a subscription model? Do you have someone where someone can...
Not yet. I'm going through Wix for the website, and right now their subscription model is, do people want to pay 12 times a year or 6 times a year, or that kind of thing. And so before I really know how consistently I can get out the magazine, I don't want to over promise and under deliver. So I'd much rather figure out my flow first.
Okay.
And then kind of say, okay, I could do this pretty easily. And then maybe even throw in a Kickstarter or something like that here and there once a year or something. So, but again, my philosophy right now is not to try to make the magazine super perfect right from the gate. I want to add more things as I go along and figure out what stuff works, what stuff doesn't, and just kind of be a little bit more laid back so I don't put as much pressure on myself, at least initially. So.
Well, that makes sense. I was trying to figure out the pattern you've got. Your website sort of laid it out for me. Each issue has 3 adversaries, 3 places, 3 items, and 3 NPCs. So
yeah,
that's kind of a cool combination.
Yeah. Well, I figure it's it's good because that gives people roughly, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 sessions where you can use pretty much everything in the magazine if you want. And then by the time you've used up everything in the magazine, then a new magazine will come out, which will give you more stuff. So
right now there's 2 issues out. And if people want to keep an eye on it, they go to the website shadowcatmagazine.com.
yeah.
And is there like a way that you announce when the new issue is ready? Should people follow you on Blue Sky or?
Well, there's that too. But if you sign up for the newsletter, you get to know when the new issue is coming out. Also, if you sign up for the newsletter, you also get the promo issue for free.
There you go. So sign up for the newsletter. You get issue number 1 for free, and you'll find out exactly when the rest of the issues are available.
Exactly.
Shadowcat's Misfit Menagerie is the name of the newsletter.
Yeah.
And there's a handy little QR code on it. So once you check that out.
If you're watching our podcast on the YouTubes, that's what they call it, right? The YouTubes. You can pick up your personal communication device and scan that, and it'll take you right to the website. Or scrolling across the bottom of our screen right now, shadowcatmagazine.com also has a page for subscribing to that newsletter. So ways you can get that information.
Yeah.
So clearly you're a fan of fantasy and you're a fan of cyberpunk. Are there other genres you plan to explore in Shadowcat?
Absolutely. I want to do steampunk. I want to do maybe a couple of hope punk things. I've also, weirdly enough, I ran a really kind of a cool Savage Worlds one shot of 80s stuff.
That's right. I played in that.
Yeah, using the Street Wolves rules, which were featured on BAMF not too long ago.
That's right.
So
Savage Worlds is the system. Street Worlds is the sort of setting that you adapted for it.
It is. It's an 80s setting, which is really cool.
Oh, Street Wolves. Yeah, that's Tablecat Games. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I was like, oh my God, it brings back so many memories. So I ran that one shot where everybody got to play really famous 80s action heroes, which was really cool. And Ross played Jackie Chan, and someone else played Rambo, and it was great. Nice. So I want to have a couple of things from like the 80s there, but I also love the old 60s television spy shows and stuff like the Avengers and the Saint and stuff like that. So I want to have a couple of things in there for that. And just wherever the muse kind of takes me. So because originally I was going to make the magazine system neutral and also genre neutral, but I had a hard time with that because I was like, well, what if I want to do some fantasy stuff? Well, what if I want to do some post-apocalyptic stuff? What if I want to draw this? What if I want to draw that? So I just kind of ditched that idea because that would just be a little too hard to try to do. So the magazine will just feature what it features and, just kind of keep it kind of low key like that. So
that is awesome. Reasonable. This is a cool picture we've got here of a lass from a steampunk setting, and I swear she looks familiar, but I'm not going to ask you if the model is somebody here in North Central Colorado. But
it is not. Okay. She is reminiscent of someone that used to be in my band when I had a band, named Traveler, and looks very similar, but I did not actually base it on her.
Okay.
But she's pretty cool. The character itself is kind of neat. So, and originally I did that picture for a convention several years ago. So I just kind of repainted her and gave her a cool steampunk background so I could use it for the magazine. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm a fan of top hats, and I like the one you have there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So this is a love bomb.
Yes.
Next, can you tell us about this?
The love bomb is cool. I had a great time trying to figure out like what happens when it explodes. Does it make you fall in does it do a Shakespearean thing like Midsummer Night's Dream where it makes you fall in love with the first creature you see? Or does it make you hate everyone around you except for your true love? Or, does it make you more attractive to everyone around you? Which sounds kind of cool at first until everyone within a 30-foot radius wants to date you all at once simultaneously, and they all want to kill each other just to have your hand in marriage or something. So, I mean, it could be kind of cool. So I don't know. I wanted to draw a bomb.
What it reminds me of is some kind of distraction device. Like, I'm being chased by the town guards. I throw this at the guard behind me, and suddenly everyone loves him and they mob him while I'm skidding away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nicer, kinder way of distracting people. So, or do you throw it and everyone just finds everything around them just completely beautiful for the next, several hours or something? Is it like ecstasy if you're playing a more adult-oriented game? So, I mean, there's so many different cool things you could do with that. But again, it's like I'm kind of throwing a bomb out there to everybody and saying, okay, what happens? So.
Sweet. It's a great picture, by the way. For anybody who can't see it, it is very, very nice.
Take our word for it. If you can't see it, it's brilliant.
And okay, we got a cool Stargate and some old ruins.
Yeah, the Whispering Portal. So I had the idea for this, and just kind of the thought of when you get close to like a gate or a portal or something, what happens if as you get closer to it, you could hear it speaking, you could hear it talking. Maybe it's making promises to you, about what you'll find on the other side. Maybe it's a warning. Maybe it gives you, a truth. Maybe it takes you to the object of your quest, that kind of thing. And it's like, maybe you can speak to it. Maybe it's alive. Maybe it's intelligent. So I thought it could be kind of a neat sort of sentient gate. Maybe it doesn't take you where you want to go. Maybe it takes you where you need to go. So, I mean, you could just kind of take this stuff and just kind of run with it. I mean, I could come up with all kinds of stuff. I mean, with a lot of these, I had to limit myself to just 20 things because that's all that would fit on the page.
Yeah, I should probably mention we flipped through the promotional issue, the first free one. Now we're looking at art from the very first issue, the next one.
Yeah.
So just to keep it there. But yeah, that is pretty cool. Let's see what we have next.
Do you know what that portal makes me think of is the Siege Perilous from the X-Men comics.
Oh.
Where, it's not only transportive, but transformative as well.
Yeah.
And you come out the other side slightly different as well as in a different place. But it's really neat. And now we've got the Archway of the Perished, which is this really cool ruined archway in sort of a night sky type environment. I'm curious to hear what you think of this one.
I'm curious as to what you guys think of this one.
All right, Lafferty, it's all you.
Well, honestly, this reminds me of a ruined monastery I hiked around in Ireland. They had a lot of these kinds of, archways from a building that had collapsed, and it was actually nice about the Irish countryside is you drive for about 20 or 30 minutes and you find these romantic, beautiful, decrepit ruins in the middle of a field wherever you go. But reminds me of one particular monastery I ran into one day. So I like just the vibe it gives you of a nighttime, being in that kind of a ruin. The name Archway of the Perished makes me think something terrible is about to come out of there. So
yeah, either something terrible is about to come out, or something has happened already, and maybe the spirits of the dead are still there waiting for you to release them. If it's a monastery, maybe they still have to serve one last thing for their god or goddess. They have to do one last task, and maybe they need the party's help to achieve it.
That's a nice hook. I like that. Yeah. Ross, what do you think about this one?
Okay, so my idea is a little bit more hopeful. Archway of the Perished, I think this might be like a portal to the afterlife. I think it might be interesting to make it a gateway to something like Valhalla or something along those lines. And the destruction is, from some evil force that wanted to destroy it, but ended up couldn't destroy the archway itself, but destroyed everything around it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that was the last battle of something trying to, force its way through into our world.
See, this is what's great about Shadowcat magazine and the way that Chaz is approaching this. He shows you an image and also provides 20 different options for what it could be, but what it is up to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and there's reusability. You could use this as one thing in your fantasy D&D game, something else in your Modern Arcana Savage Worlds game. There's all kinds of possibilities here because you're not tied down to, it's not defined by a game system or setting. You can drop this into your own campaign without much of a problem.
And as a GM, I got to say, I really like the idea of not only is there the entry and not only is there the ideas, but there's an image that I can just turn my iPad around and show everybody. Here's what you see.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the cool thing about it being digital. It is a digital PDF. So if you are old school like me, I like to be able to pass stuff around to everybody. So I have a couple of really high-end printers. So I tend to print out the art that I want people to see and just show it to them, let them check it out for themselves, let them keep it on the table or whatever they want to do. However, if everyone at your table has a laptop, then you could just email the image to everybody and say, this is what you see. They pull it up on their laptop or their phone or their tablet, and it's right there for them. So hopefully it works for everybody, no matter what kind of table they have, whether it's completely digital or a mix of the two. So, yeah.
Sweet.
I grew on that.
Let's look at the last one. Oh, wait, this is not the last one, but this is Claude Zero. Tell us about Claude Zero.
Claude Zero, this is obviously kind of a hyper cyberpunky sort of thing, but Claude Zero is kind of a master of disinformation. He is someone who has basically toppled governments, allowed people to rise to power, and he works for the highest bidder. And so Claude Zero, in a sense, is either the main boss of your campaign, or he is someone that the main boss is using to throw off the party or to deceive the public. He could just be the hype man for someone, a herald for the main boss guy, all kinds of things. And yes, there are some real world, similarities there with what's going on in our country right now. But it could be kind of a cool way to get that out of your system to say, I'm going to use this role-playing game to basically want to go fight against this guy who majors in disinformation and falsehoods and lies.
Cool.
That is pretty cool. His face looks so familiar to me. Can't quite place it, but it's very distinctive.
No, thank you. I drew it myself.
Is there another image in there? Oh, there it is. That's the cover there.
Yeah, and featured on the cover is Salem Dread. Now she's definitely more fantasy, but there is a chart in there for her where she's a necromancer, and her dress is so red that wherever she goes, there's just a trail of fresh blood behind her because her robes are constantly bleeding.
Good Lord. Okay.
Wow. Wow. That is wild.
Kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
So we had, this guy back at the beginning, Taja.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about them.
Well, Taja is my take on a gender neutral type of character. Because again, I want everyone to be represented in the magazine. Everyone from the LGBTQ community, people from all different cultures and races. I want everybody to be represented. So when I was creating Taja, I was like, well, are they male or female? And I decided, you know what, that's not up to me. So I just left it very vague, very open. I made the description and everything completely gender neutral. So that, and for people that might be uncomfortable with that kind of thing, well, then you can assign them a sex and just go on your way, because it's your table. You can do what you want. So I'm not trying to make a political statement or anything like that. I'm not trying to make a cultural statement, but this was something that I felt really compelled to draw, and I wanted to do something that was a little bit anthropomorphic and kind of cool.
It's like a Dragonborn type character for people who can't see it.
Yeah.
And if you like Dragonborn, this would be a really interesting take on that type of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a cool. Can we say purple, blue?
Yeah, bluish purple. Yeah.
Turquoise.
There you go. Yeah. And then we're a very comfortable looking silk
with
jacket.
bits of indigo.
Yeah.
And cerulean.
Cerulean. Breaking out those art school words. Okay.
Hey, I gotta get some mileage out of my my degree at Art Institute. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Every once in a while, I like to break out some words from my days at the academy, at the university too. And my wife looks at me and tells me to shut up. But
well, my wife is downstairs right now, so she can't jump on me for those words. But yeah, for this one especially, it was like I wanted to. It could be Dragonborn, but it could also be kind of a snake lizard type of person. Could be a basilisk sort of person. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to. Depending on the game that you're playing and the system that you're playing and the kind of races they have, it could fit. So that's the other thing I did. I didn't want to necessarily define what it was in the description. However, there are some references to it being able to, I believe, turn people into stone and things like that. So I wanted to throw in a couple of kind of cool possibilities for people.
Yeah, that is very cool. So once again, shadowcatmagazine.com. First issue is free. Next issue for January is out. You can pick it up for $14.75. Gorgeous artwork and lots of cool plot hooks for your tabletop campaign.
Yeah.
Well worth a view. You mentioned you might want to do a crowdfunding campaign at some point in the future. Is that still something we're kicking around, or do you have a date in mind? Or
no date yet, because again, I kind of want to. I'm playing with a lot of possibilities right now. I've got some ideas, and every once in a while, like my wife and I, we go to a lot of sci-fi fantasy conventions, like Mile High Con here in Denver. We go to Bubonicon in New Mexico, TusCon in Phoenix. So we go to a bunch. I'm actually going to be artist guest of honor at LibertyCon, which is going to be, I think, in June. But I'll have posts up about that. So when I go to these conventions, I always talk to people that come up to our table and things like that. And when I'm talking about the project that I'm working on, it's, I'll throw out some ideas and see what people think. Because if I throw out an idea, like, for example, at some point down the road, one of the reasons I want writers is because I want people to be able to interview famous fictional characters. So if you want to have an interview with King Arthur or with, someone that's obviously in the public domain.
Popeye.
Yeah,
and Popeye's probably easier to do. So all right, that's cool.
Yeah. Steamboat Willie, Winnie the Pooh. But if you want to, Baba Yaga, people like that, there you go. That's the poster I did for them. So
yeah, and it is sold out already.
Yeah.
Sorry, people in Tennessee, it is sold out.
Yeah, I believe they capped their attendance. I don't know what the cap is, but
they hit it
when they announced. Yeah, when they announced that that there's an old picture of me with dreads. When they announced that the tickets are going to go on sale, people just jump all over it. So, but I was invited to be guest of honor there, which is cool. So I've never been to Tennessee. So it'll be really fun. It'll be really neat because I love going to different places around the country and just meeting new people and just kind of seeing what their vibe is and stuff. And I don't know, it's super fun. So I love being out there amongst people. So I kind of want to leave myself open a little bit for ideas and things for when I talk to people, and because people are always like, hey, you got this magazine that's really cool. Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And it's like, oh, I've not thought about that. That's cool. Okay. So.
Yeah. I hope it's a good time. I haven't been in Tennessee in 30 years. When I was there last, I was camping out, and it was a very lovely state. The people were friendly. Of course, things might have changed since the late mid-1990s. So, but I enjoyed
it was a minute ago.
Yeah.
That
is an awesome picture you've got there. I enjoy your take on Lady Liberty. That is fun.
Thank you. That was really the theme of it, was to be, well, you got to draw Lady Liberty somehow, some way, but make it your own thing. And I was like, great. I'm going to make her Art Nouveau, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So, and they really liked it. In fact, I did a big piece on canvas, and for someone out there who bought it, they wanted to frame it, put it on their wall, the whole works. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool. I had a lot of fun. Doing that piece.
So you mentioned. Sorry, Joris, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, you mentioned you got an Oracle you sell on your Etsy store.
I do.
I'm guessing your Oracle has this same kind of Art Nouveau style artwork.
Yeah, it's called the Ashelon Oracle Deck. ASHELON.
Okay.
And we did it maybe about 7 years ago now. It was right at the tail end of 2018 when I finished it, but it was a 3-year project.
And Ashelon is your fantasy setting.
Yeah, it's actually our fantasy steampunk setting. My wife has written Carolyn Kay, in case I didn't mention that before. My wife has written a trilogy called the Galacel trilogy, and it's basically a mix of steampunk and fantasy. And a lot of the cards were really inspired by that, and the cards themselves inspired aspects of the story as well. But it's 52 cards, really super easy to interpret yourself. I did it because I love tarot, but I didn't understand all the cards very well, but I love the art. So I wanted to do an Oracle deck because I had a lot of people that came up. It's like, oh, you do Art Nouveau. Well, you should do a tarot deck, or you should do an Oracle deck. So for like 2 or 3 years, people were asking about it constantly. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do one. So I did, and it's pretty popular. People really, really like it. It sells really well everywhere we go. And we've sold it to people all over the world. And there are actually some YouTube videos of people that read cards and things like that for a living, and they got the deck and they're going through the deck, and a couple of people are doing readings with the deck, and it's really fun. It's really neat.
I could definitely see that. I think there's always a market for new and interesting, fresh takes on tarot cards, because there's a certain segment of people who are, spend a lot of time with those and having something fresh, because you see a lot of the same kind of, just like with fantasy artwork in general, you see a lot of the same tropes and same styles. It's nice when there's something fresh, like the style you've got. Speaking of which, we have a really cool looking airship up here from your website.
Airship or rocket ship?
Well, this one is an airship. And in fact, this is probably not going to be featured in the magazine, because I did a whole lot of art when I worked with Ross for a project that may or may not come up in the future. We don't know. I'll leave that up to Ross to talk about.
Maybe someday. Someday, it's still planned for eventually someday.
Okay. Well, I did a whole bunch of art for him. So the art that I did for him is spoken for. However, I wanted to use a couple of pieces just as examples on the website. So I believe that's one of the pieces there, because the style and shape of the airship fit with the genre that Ross and the rest of us were really kind of going for. I can't say anything more than that. But yeah,
I just wanted to. I know we're running out of time, but look at this wasp, Ross. Look at this.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, I kind of want to do I'm going to do something probably similar with insects, because insects themselves are really, when you zoom in on them and really look at them, they're really terrifying looking. And so for something like an insect like that, but you make it out of metal or something like that and have it as a monster that your players can face, it's like a bee or a murder hornet, but it's 20 feet from nose to tail or whatever. I mean, that would scare the crap out of anybody. And I want to draw it.
I'm scared of a wasp 1 inch long.
See, there you go.
You show me a wasp that's 20 feet long, I'm not going out of my house.
Exactly. Exactly. So, to expect the party to fight that thing. But, it's like there's so much stuff in the real world that is really pretty terrifying if it wasn't for the fact that they were really tiny or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, someone said to me cats would be illegal if they were 4 times bigger. I think that's probably true.
Yes. Yeah, because cats kill just for fun. So, yeah. That's not a good thing.
Pistol shrimp.
Yeah, pistol shrimp. That's another one. Or the what do they call, the assassin wasp or something like that, which has the most painful sting. That and the bullet ant.
Bullet ant, yeah. I was just thinking bullet ants, yeah.
Oh my God. So I mean, imagine something like that, but now your party has to fight it. Oh, ugh. And the cool thing about that is it could be any genre. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's fantasy or sci-fi or whatever it is you're playing. You could have a 20-foot long bullet ant.
Yeah, sure. or tardigrade.
Unfortunately, I think Lafferty pointed it out. We are at the end of our show here. So
yeah. One more time, shadowcatmagazine.com. Check it out. Support Chaz. This is a fun-looking book. Yeah, it's coming out regularly.
Please check it out. Chaz is, again, as I said, not only a really good friend, but a very talented person. And I'm excited to see where this goes.
Chaz, you get the last word, sir.
Right on. Well, I just want to say, Mike and Ross, man, thank you guys so much for helping to boost my signal. I want to say hi to all you guys as fans. And, to be honest, I mean, this is the hardest part of marketing, is getting that signal out there. And I really hope that when people pick up the magazine, I really hope that it enhances your game, and that you guys, will look at this and say, man, I'm generating so many ideas off of this. I can't wait for the next issue. So that's really my whole point. I want to enhance your game and make the game fun for you guys. So
I wrote down like 5 ideas just from this session here. So
right
I was inspired.
Right on. Well, thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. And big love to all of your fans.
Appreciate you coming on. And we'll see you guys next time on the Banff Podcast.